We begin the final issue with Satomi unconscious. She's chained down and still holding on to Mercury S. She looks around and notices that Margot is sitting by. She instantly breaks free and goes for her. But Margot isn't defenseless, however, as we see multiple cameras pointed at them, and Margot says that everything is being recorded. Margot explains she had hoped Satomi would find the criminal life thrilling enough to stay. Satomi just demands for her money, which prompts Margot to bring out Owen in restraints. Margot gives Satomi a choice. Either Satomi's family is killed, including the children, or let Owen take the fall and live debt-free as a syndicate member. Satomi thinks on the two choices and comes to a decision. She decides to join Margot. She apologizes to Owen for not separating sooner when she should have. Satomi asks if her family and Owen will be safe and left alone. Margot confirms, so long as Red cooperates. With that, Margot offers Satomi a hand in agreement as Owen is dragged off. On the next page, Margot brings Satomi to a group of other crime lords. Margot introduces her, not by name, but as the ultimate safecracker. Satomi shakes their hands and gets to work depositing the Mercury S. Once she's done, Margot starts to talk about the next job when it's pointed out that there's a few grams missing. Suddenly, Margot yelps in pain and grabs her chest. She looks at her hand and sees Satomi's handprint. Satomi has injected Mercury S into Margot during their handshake and did the same to the mob bosses. As she watches them throw up blood, Satomi stands and tells Margot, "I'm finishing the job." She then walks out of the warehouse as Margot threatens her. Satomi returns home to find Shift with Owen, who's still tied up. Shift says he would have done the same to Margot and her friends, and says he and Satomi should turn the warehouse into their own operation. He says they work well together since they're so much alike. Satomi rebukes the notion, but Shift lists off why they are. Satomi just urges him to leave. Before he does, he tells Owen he's the jealous type, and swings his sword down on him. Satomi catches the blade and then kicks Shift through the house. She frees Owen and makes her stand against Shift. They begin to trade blows, and it's interesting to note that Satomi does not have her helmet on, which could mean that this is personal. Their fight destroys the house around them. Shift impales Satomi and says they could have had something. Satomi just grabs his arm, absorbs and grows into the mecha suit, and smashes Shift with enough force that it brings the house down. Radiant Red wins, and Owen goes up to her insisting that they get out of there. Satomi instead starts rummaging through the wreckage and pulls out 2 duffel bags of money. She then admits to Owen that what she said earlier was the truth. They should have ended things a long time ago. She says she needs to move on and figure out how to be a whole person on her own. Owen reciprocates the sentiment and they both apologize. Satomi asks for a favor, if he can give a few bundles of money to Nathan's family. Her parting words for Owen are that she wishes the best for him and that she'll be rooting for him no matter what. She then gives him her engagement ring. We cut to a new day with Satomi in a stylish outfit. She's outside the Lockport Voice, waiting for Alicia Castle. When she finds her, Satomi asks if the offer to take control of her story is still available. The final page shows Satomi walking into a police department and asks to see the officers on the Chicago bank robberies. She faces the audience and declares her name is Satomi Sohn and she is Radiant Red. The Radiant Red 5-issue one-shot is my favorite story in the Massiverse. I'm not great at literary analysis, but I want to give my take on the character and her story. In issue 1, we saw a quote from Satomi's yearbook that gave us the main theme of her story. She had to choose between a life of normalcy or thrill. She experienced both and learned that they both contained a bitter side that made the other seem like the better option. Staying by the shore meant she had a life of safety, comparatively, but a loved one's mistake was enough to upend her whole life. Braving the storm, however, let her see and accomplish all that she was capable of, but was brought down by her own hubris when her recklessness almost killed an innocent person. I want to believe she chose a path down both aisles. She separated from Owen because he was going to drag her down, and despite doing her best to help him, it was not her responsibility to fix the situation. The storm she braved wasn't Shift or Margot, it was a responsibility. She turned herself in to make amends for what the desperation caused her to do. In the end, she told Owen she needed to work on herself how to be a whole person, and in her final words, she declared herself Satomi Sohn and Radiant Red, embracing both sides of her and finally being in control of her own life. The finale said Radiant Red will return, and I'm looking forward to seeing Satomi as a protagonist again. And with that, thank you for listening, guys.